Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. To follow us on Instagram, go to No Name Music Cast Podcast. To send us an email, it's nonamemusiccast@gmail.com. And to visit our website, go to nonamemusiccast.com. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And we're recording on a Friday night after a most interesting week at work. I had a nice trip yesterday to Pigeon Forge, and we're here to record a podcast for you this evening about music and other things, probably.
Other things adjacent. Yeah, it was a wild week. We may have been talking for 40 minutes before this podcast started. We will not get into that because this is not a podcast for that. And this is a place for you guys to check your woes in the world, right, Tim, and mostly just yell at us and tell us that's not right or something about gaslights or Stevie Nicks. Who knows?
There we are. I mean, it's fair to say your sister listens to these episodes as soon as they post, and often posts to our group chat to tell you, say, Joy, don't you know this is that, and that's Morse Code or something.
I don't know. She was telling me that Morse Code is, I don't care. I will tell you right now, I have the attention span of a snail. Do snails have large attention? I don't know. It's some animal that has been told. Goldfish? I don't know. Whatever attention span is about this big, Tim, that's mine, Tim. That's how it works. And I can tell you right now, if you are typing to me in Morse code, you're gonna die. I'm not the one. Even if I knew what it was, you're gonna die.
Well, as your sister said, she was in the military, and that's like part of your basic training is learning Morse code. But
it's
I mean,
true.
you've not been in the military, and I don't see it as something that you would probably proactively want to learn.
Well, the thing about it is my dad was in the military, my mother was in the military, my twin sister was in the military, my brother was in the military. I was actually in ROTC for years. I actually was interested in going in the military because I do come from a military family. I think I could learn it, Tim. I just don't think that I would be good at reacting in real time, as we've talked about with my dyspraxia, Tim. The reason I'm a bad drummer is about half a second to 2 seconds behind in any situation when my brain should, like if you would say something to me, Tim, it really does take me a little bit of extra time to figure it out sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes my staff will walk in and I'll be in the middle of work and Tim's the manager, so he understands. And, they've got some random situation. And you're like, wait, what did you say? Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to really think about what is happening. It's not that you didn't hear them. It's like the processing time. I do not think I'd be good at processing Morse code. I don't. So just don't Morse code me. It's just, you're going to die.
I'll remember that. Next time I send you a message, I remember not to do it in Morse code.
Please don't. Because, we're on the Titanic. Well, you know what happened on the Titanic? Joy was the one to send her the Morse code. It's not that I don't think I would understand it, Tim. I don't think that I would understand it in the time frame you need to understand it for it to actually matter. Truly. And I don't think, Tim will tell you, I think he thinks I'm a smart person. Maybe. It's not that. It's just that I just don't have the processing time in order to handle these situations.
No,
all right.
Joy, all those things make you, let me tell you.
Wow, you didn't say, yeah, I think she's a smart person.
Joy, I do think you're smart, but everything you said about yourself makes you, and I wouldn't want to change anything else.
It's incredibly accurate, and you know it is. So with that being said, Tim, I have a little bit of, I don't know if it's music news or more of a music announcement, and then I will let you take it over. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one piece of music news, but yeah, get yours done first.
Eurovision!
Yay!
So that is happening, is the summertime-ish. I don't know when these people will get it. This may be after Eurovision. Tim does all the actual work to publish the episodes. I just sit here and smile and say stuff and pay the bills. So with that being said, literally my job is to pay the bills and I pay the podcast bills. Ironic. So with that being said, So that's not a joke, guys. It's only like $17 a month. But when we started doing the podcast, the rule was Tim does all the IT, Joy just pays the credit card bill. So anyway, with that being said, Eurovision contest for 2026 is set to be the 7th edition of Eurovision. It's scheduled to be 2 semifinals on the 12th, and the 14th, and the 16th of May. These are all of May. I don't actually know how any of this works because I am grossly American and I've only seen kind of jokes about Eurovision. I don't know. Are there normally that many days of Eurovision?
Well, what happens is all of the countries that enter Eurovision have like a song for Britain or song for France or song.
Yeah,
so they have their own contest to decide who's going to go into it. And then once they've picked who's going to be in it, that's when it goes to the actual Eurovision day where they do their performance and it's voted on.
So that's the semifinals when they're picking out who's going to do what. Okay.
Yeah.
So the final will be on the 16th of May, 2026. It's held at, I'm not going to say that, Wiener Steinhalt Tim, something in Vienna, Austria. Let Tim look it up. Presented by Victoria Swarovski and Michael Swarovski. That is probably not how you say it. But it looks like Swarovski, the crystal with the O. I don't know. So anyway, it'll be by the EBU, which is the European Broadcasting Union, and hosted by the ORF. I am not gonna. Tim, that's not English. I don't know what that is. What? I'm gonna say something very vulnerable. What language do they speak in Austria?
In Austria, they speak German. So what you're looking for is the Wiener Stadthalle, which means it's the Vienna hall. And I wasn't quite sure what Stad means, but it's like a municipal hall. So it's a Vienna municipal hall.
I'm going to put this in our chat. I don't know what that is. We'll see if Tim can tell you that. Which is then after winning broadcasters from 35 countries will participate in the contest, 2 fewer than in 2025. The smallest introduced in 2003. So before the introduction of semifinals, Iceland, Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovenia, Spain have opted to not participate, as Israel was included. We don't need to get into that. If you know, you know, right, Tim? We're not getting into politics.
Absolutely.
So anyway, with that being said, that's the thing that's happening. I just thought it was interesting. We don't have any numbers. I will report back. If you're interested in Eurovision, we've got some of this that's coming out, and we're recording this on the 8th of May. So by the time we record again, we can talk about that. Tim, do you have any idea how to say what I put in the chat?
It's where was it? Oh, let's had it up here. Österreichischer Rundfunk. I'm not sure what that means.
So that is the host broadcaster, I guess.
It's like the national broadcaster.
Yeah. So you have the EBU, which is the European Broadcasting Union, and then the host broadcaster was Austria, whatever Tim just said.
Yeah.
I'm American, and unfortunately, while I do try my hardest to be worldly, unfortunately, I am still not as worldly. And Tim, I just want to say this before you take over. Charlie and me were talking about this today. He was reading an article about Europeans who were like, I drove 6 hours, to go to all these different countries. And then someone commented and said, if you were in America, that's the state of Texas. Like, I do generally still sometimes don't think people understand that, like, they talk about Americans not being as worldly and not going to other countries. But, like, really, if you're going from England to France, and Tim can testify this for both sides of the spectrum, that's like me going from Virginia to Florida, right, Tim? Like, it's the same amount of driving. So it's very hard sometimes for Americans to get out of our country because it's just so vastly big.
Yeah. I mean, like yesterday, I drove to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. That was 3 hours and 30 minutes. I only crossed into one new state.
Sometimes I do really think, and I remember when I was, we were doing the Freak Jam, I went to a New York trip, and I was in New York City, and like one person made a comment about how far away it was, right, Tim? When I was like live on chat, Tim's like, should like 8 hours away.
Yeah.
Like it's not close. I mean, it's not far, but it's also not close, right, Tim, in some weird way. And I just think that sometimes that I do struggle with when people make comments about, well, Americans are just not going to other countries. It takes a really hard time for us to get to other countries.
Yeah,
Like, yes, we can fly.
unless you get to Mexico or Canada.
But even then, like it took the time I went to Canada. What is it, Tim? How long's the drive? It's like 24 hours.
No, if you go to Ontario, it's about 10 hours door to door.
Okay, well, I thought it was 24 hours because we had to sleep. My bad, everybody. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's not a quick drive in essence. But like, even when my husband's originally from Utah, so I've done the drive from Virginia to Utah. How many times now? Probably 6 times, give or take. It's a long drive. It's very long, and you have to sleep and be a human. So it could take 2 to 3 days to get across the country. Yeah. Anyway, that's nothing to do with saying. But I just thought it was funny, Tim, that Charlie brought that up because we've talked about this on the podcast. The conception of how big America is versus other countries, I think sometimes it's not all there.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember before I lived here, went to Vegas, and then we was talking about to go into Los Angeles whilst being in Vegas, and the lady at the rental car counter said, "Oh, it's about an 8-hour drive from here. It's not that bad."
Yes. Yeah, I just like, and one thing that's like what Charlie was making the joke about Texas, like Texas is so big, you could drive for like 3 days and still be in Texas.
Yes.
Alaska's the same because, Alaska and Texas are the 2 biggest states. Anyway, so with that being said, I will let Tim take it over. We will follow back up on Eurovision. Tim will give you proper enunciations, the things Joy cannot. I don't even try anymore. I just give up. With that being said, Tim, take it from here.
Okay, so I have sort of a piece of music news, though this entertained me. So as you know, as everybody knows, I have this Spotify journey. I subscribe to the Spotify. True. I'm year 4 or 5 into it now. I'm fully vested. There are other options available. Some people prefer not to use it, but once I'm in, I'm in. I'm fully vested in this world. So occasionally you get emails from the Spotify telling you about various show tickets or tours and things like that. But occasionally you'll get an artist who sends you an email. And I'm sure these artists personally are sending me these emails. It's not just a mail shop distribution thing. I'm sure it is.
Absolutely not, Sid. They know you personally. I'm sure of it.
So I was incredibly excited when I got an email yesterday. And the subject was, Madonna made you something special. And I'm thinking, oh, great. Madonna's made me a cake. She knows I like chocolate cake. She knows I like key lime pie. She knows I like all these things. She made me something. Maybe she did a painting for me. It's like, no. Okay, so I open the email, very excited, expecting to say, hey, how you doing? I made you that cake you like. No, nothing like that. It says, a message from Madonna. So I was excited. I thought, oh, Madonna's, she has something to tell me. She says, I have a confession for my top Spotify listeners. So already I know it's not for me. It's just, it's for a subset of people, but I'm still feeling a little bit special.
Okay.
I'm giving you exclusive access to the Milky Clear vinyl edition of my new album.
She's trying to come out with new music, so.
Yeah, pre-order now and see you on the dance floor. Love, M.
Oh.
So this is an exclusive offer just for me to buy something.
She just recently was at some events where she was singing in real time promoting an album.
Yeah, so I clicked the link. Confessions to Spotify fans' first Milky Clear vinyl for $29.98 plus shipping and handling and tax. So I'm pleased that Madonna thought of me first when it came to rinsing me out of $30.
Well, I mean, I know she personally called the podcast, I think, right, and asked about you, so it makes sense. It all checks out.
I don't know. I had higher hopes from Madonna. I really thought she'd made me something nice, not given me an opportunity to spend my hard-earned money.
She gave you a coupon.
Basically.
That's what she did. And what's funny is, if you hadn't realized, we talked about her being at Coachella last 2 episodes, right, Tim? And she got a new album coming out, so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Madonna's getting that bag, and that's all I can tell you, Tim. You're probably a sufferer for getting that back. I struggle with Madonna because, well, we talked about, was she singing live? Was she not like singing live? We determined she probably wasn't in that. I will say that I really did enjoy the harmonies that were pre-recorded. I think they sounded great. I would think if they put a single out, it'd be wonderful. Not saying that that should be how they do a live concert, but I really did enjoy it. But it's not lost on me that apparently she has some new album and single coming out.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is tying together, but I think the main part of her marketing campaign is personally emailing me and asking me to buy a record that I would never buy.
Okay, well, she made a choice. She took a chance. She said, "I'm going to send this guy a coupon. I heard he talks about me on a podcast. We'll see what happens."
Exactly.
She also doesn't show up to her concerts and is mean to people, so.
Well, it's in some respects, Madonna sort of gets a free pass, but I'm not down on that late for your concert business for all the reasons we've discussed previously.
We've talked about Tim. I do not give people a free ride. All right. Anyway, so with that being said, did you have anything else before you get into your topic?
No, that's all I have for today. So I decided to resurrect the topic Shufflin Good. And this is called The Return of Shufflin Good. And this is the concept of Shufflin Good. So both Joy and I have a playlist on our music services of choice. I've got one for Spotify, which is one I listen to on the 8th of each month because I've got one for each day of the month. And Joy has probably got either a Spotify or a YouTube Music or something like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on shuffle and then we're going to hit next. And we're going to see the song that comes up, and then we're going to discuss. Now, sometimes it's interesting to see the kind of things we have on a playlist, and also to see if each other has heard of this music. Because as you know, I've not heard of anything that was made after about 1999.
All right. Well, would you like to start, or do you want me to start?
No, I think I will start. I've already pressed the magic button, and it came up just a second ago. Now, this is a song I saw the music video for the other day. And so it must have come up because I've listened to it recently.
Of course.
And this is the band Korn, which is not really an act that I would necessarily listen to. But they are covering the song Word Up. But they're not covering Cameo's Word Up. They're covering the cover done by Gun.
I've heard this before. I have heard their Korn version. Korn is one of those bands that I don't like or hate. Do you know what I mean? They're just kind of there.
Sure.
But I've heard this version. I mean, Word Up is one of those songs that I think everybody and their cousin knows at this point. I find it interesting you made the distinction. They're not doing the Word Up that people think. They're doing the Cameo version, which is my favorite version, by the way.
Or the Gun version they're covering.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes, I'm sorry. I was saying this. I don't know how to feel about it. I've heard it before. It did do well on the charts. Is this a song you listen to regularly, Tim? I don't know. It's not a song I think about. Not their version.
No,
not
somehow
version.
It ended up in my MTV playlist of music videos I use on Spotify. And then equally it's now in the playlist that I'm using today. So as I said, when I hit shuffle, it was the first thing that came up.
Korn is a band that I forget exists. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I work with someone who's a Korn super fan. And
Those
actually has
exist?
a Korn license plate on their car.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
if you like what you like, and I just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, people like different things. I will say the video to this is very weird and disturbing, where it has dogs running around, and then it has the faces of Korn superimposed on the dogs, so it looks like dog people. It's weird.
It feels very much like Korn. The other thing about Korn is they are not the same. It's kind of like we joke about those bands like that say they're like Casey and the Sunshine Band. Korn's not the original Korn anymore, right? Like, don't they have like those touring bands? And then I don't think that the same people even exist anymore. They have like the touring substitutes or whatever.
I know the guitarists were Monkey and Head because they were in a lot of guitar magazines when they first came out. Because Steve Vai, the virtuoso guitarist Steve Vai, famously started playing 7-string guitars with a low B. And he was playing very much progressive Whitley guitar music. Korn used those very same Steve Vai Ibanez guitars with the low B and then created this kind of down-tuned genre using those instruments.
But I think that James Monkey guy is not the original guitarist, or maybe he is. Maybe he's one of the few original members. But I do know that they've had different people tour with them. They have like the substitutes, Tim. Like I think if you go watch Korn today, you might get one or two of the original Korn members. From what I understand, I am not someone who's a Korn aficionado, not a band that I can even tell you anything about. It's not my vibes. I don't even actually know if I can name a Korn song.
Well, I can. Word up.
Well, besides the one we're talking about, outside of that, Tim, though?
No, I would not know.
Do they have other songs?
Well, they probably do.
Okay, well, All right, well, anyway, great. Interesting choice, Tim. Didn't expect that. I don't know that we've talked about Korn at all on this podcast.
There we go.
And someone is screaming at me saying, Joy, you should know better. They're wonderful. You should know all their music. Anyway, all right. So let me put a little shuffle. Let's do a little shuffle. All right, what's the next one? Oh, I got Rescue Me. Rescue me, take you in your arms. It's Fontella Bass, the version. I don't know if that's the original version. I think I got like one of those singer versions, Tim, the generic singers that are doing them. I don't know why. I don't know why this is, but you know the song.
Absolutely.
That's what's on mine.
Yeah, sometimes on streaming services, if they don't have the actual song, they'll have as interpreted by the Lovers Singers or something.
It does make me wonder, though, who's the original? Because I've definitely heard that. And Tim's dirt,
I used to have a service through the RAC, which is like AAA, and when you called them to do anything, they played Rescue Me on their on-hold music.
Well, I lied, Tim. This is the original. It just is the most ridiculous name for a band that I thought it was fake.
Yeah,
it's
well, there you go.
Fontella Bass from 1968. Rescue Me. I don't know if they ever did any other music. I couldn't tell you anything about that band, but it's a great song that's been used in every movie since the beginning of time. And if this was their only hit, they made a lot of money off of it.
Absolutely. If nothing else, for having the on-hold music for the RAC.
Yes. Great song. And if you know anything about Joy, she loves the Motown sound. She loves the 60s R&B vibe, so it makes sense. The one that I've literally put Tim, so Tim Romero said, do you have a playlist that you think could work for this episode? Sure, because I got 47,000. Might as well click one. This one's literally just called My Fave.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I love this song. But for some reason, when I read that, I was like, oh, is this like a... But it's because it was redone in 2002. That's what threw me off. But, I would be curious to know, truly, Tim, I'm going to give it a Google live on air, how much money this or how many shows and how much, that they've gotten from this. Because I feel like it's used in movies, TV shows. Charlie. Tim just said it was on a phone line that you were talking about?
Yep, on hold music.
Hold on. Fontella Bass. I've never heard of that band before. Fontella Bass.
Mm-hmm.
Worth. Let's see. It says, originally a 1965 vinyl, Rescue Me on the Checker label sold for $30 million. Well, originally it was $10 to $30 a piece. Right now it's worth about $33 million.
There you go. It depends on who wrote the music, but yes, it's probably generated a lot of revenue.
I've heard that song in everything ever, Tim, since the beginning of time. So, very different situations from Joy and Tim. Tim had Korn. Joy had Barry Motown. I don't know why, Tim, but Korn was not the first thing I thought you were going to take this episode off with. But, what's next?
Okay, so I've just hit the shuffle. I've got Joe Bonamassa. Is that an artist that you're familiar with?
I've heard you talk about him, a million times now.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy because he's really brought blues music back to the forefront. He's been incredibly successful with that. He's got this huge collection of vintage guitars. He's a very interesting guy, great guitar player, great singer, and he's constantly releasing music. And this is from the album, where are we? It's Life at the Beacon Theatre, this one. And this is actually a cover of a Gary Moore song called Midnight Blues. Now, the track originally was from Gary Moore's Still Got the Blues album. And he covers a few Gary Moore songs here and there. So he's covering it here. So I'm going with this song, Midnight Blues. Now, I would imagine you have not heard this song before.
I've heard the original, but not his version.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. The funny thing about Joe Bonamassa is like he's like what I've talked about. There's so since we've been doing this podcast, I've learned so much. And I think Tim has too. Whether he wants to admit it or not, I think you've learned stuff from doing the podcast.
Sure.
And things that I didn't pick up on before the podcast, I now pick up on. And Joe Bonamassa is one of those people that I wouldn't have batted an eye. Saw the name, wouldn't know who he was. Now that Tim's kind of explained to me, and I know that he is literally like a godsend to people who are into guitar and like all these things I've learned about him as a person. You know, we joke about like backup singers we hear in songs that we learn on the podcast or different things where someone broke a glass, you know what I mean, Tim, and that's what made the noise or whatever. He's like that person to me now. Like you've taught me so much about him that I would have never known. I've heard the original version, but I've never heard his because I know this is a song that's like, you know, I've got those midnight blues. It says like 37 times over. What's so interesting though is like I really do hold him to, even though I don't know his music that well, Tim, you got me holding him to like this astute level musician just because of the podcast. And then he'll come up and day like someone will say something to me. And I'll be like, oh yes, I know who that is. Tim has talked about him for the last, I don't know, since the last COVID lockdown, 2020, when we started this podcast. It's funny when we were doing the last episode, I gave Tim those 3 little kind of non-podcast related trivia, and he answered them when we went into the trivia one. Tim and me were joking after we ended the podcast. We were like, we've been doing this for so long. When we come up with a new topic, we need to go back and make sure that we haven't done that topic before. Because it's like, it's just funny because I've just learned so much about all these people. Tim, I truly did not know who Joe Bonamassa was until we did this podcast.
Well, there we are. And I wasn't really super familiar with the work of Aqua either.
And now you know they're amazing and everybody should be listening to them. So with that being said, would you like me to pick another song?
Yeah, you have a shuffle.
All right, let's do a shuffle. Shuffle. Oh. Hold up. Actually, I don't want to do that one. We're going to shuffle a little further because hold on, coming, Sammy and Dave.
Yeah, I mean, that is great. That is a song I've played many times. I played that in the Guilty Party. I played that in the Lee Aaron Band. I've played it here, there, and everywhere. It's not terribly difficult to play, but it is a classic.
So if you know anything about me, you know Joy loves the Blues Brothers. And if you don't know anything about the Blues Brothers, you know that their music was based off of Sammy and Dave. It's a whole thing. You know, you can go down the Google machine, right, Tim? Like that's where the whole soul kind of thing comes from. I don't know why my music is all becoming this very soul sound, but if you know anything about me, I do love good soul music. That's my true bread and butter. But this song, I literally have to listen to it, Tim. I don't know about you. You know, with Truth About Songs, you have to listen to it once a week. I listen to the song once a week. Tim knows this. I've sent him many videos of me just like jamming out, full and it's always Sam and Dave. I don't know what it is about it. It's that sound. And whatever they were doing in this song, it is like, it's perfect. And I think when you play it, Tim, does it go over as well as I think it will always? I really do think
it is an absolute timeless classic is what it is.
And it's one of those timeless classics. So controversially, you know, I joke about I don't like some of the same old songs. Like I can't listen to Journey anymore. I just can't, Tim.
Yeah.
I'd rather you run me over your car than force me to listen to Journey again. But
I think I might draw the line at that. I mean, I've been with you when we was walking along together along the pavement and then someone reversed into you. I've seen how that works. I don't really want to repeat it.
So, to be fair, I started my current job in January of 2026. Tim knows this. I had to explain to my staff today that I am one of the few people that a lot of people in life know who actively did get hit by a car as a pedestrian a few years back and explained the whole scenario to them. So yeah, they're learning.
Yeah, we were walking together to go to Starbucks or something, and we was walking past the Dollar General.
It was my birthday. Tim offered to buy me a drink.
Yeah, and it was like we was walking past the Dollar General. We was chatting away, and this car just like started reversing and banged into Joy. It was just unbelievable.
Tim's like, how does this happen to you? I was like, and I jumped out of the way because this is my everyday life. Well, we joke about the fact that, like, not only do I have dyspraxia, which, if you are not familiar with this, I have a disorder, and Tim's talked about it. He thinks he knows somebody else who's had this disorder in their life.
Yeah.
I don't know where my body is in relation to the world I've joked about. One of the hardest things as an adult has been to explain this to people. And the best way I can explain to people is when I go to sit down a glass, sometimes I will miss the table with that glass, Tim, because I don't understand. Like, I don't have the processing power to do that. So I'm already struggling with that. But then add in the fact weird stuff happens to me, and I just don't even know how to explain it. Like, I like, literally, we're just walking and someone backs into me. I literally got hit as a pedestrian crossing the road because some guy was running late for work one time. And it was funny because I explained to my staff member how this happened today. And she was like, well, what happened? I told her what happened. I was getting ready to get up on the stairs. Or not on the stairs, like on the sidewalk. And he flew up on me. My arm took off his mirror. My hip was in his car. There was a big dent. And she laughed because it happened in front of a hospital, directly in front of a hospital. And so the ambulance rolls up, and this is America, y'all. So I'm not paying that ambulance bill. I walked him after being hit by someone's car. I walked myself into the hospital. And I remember being so mad because I'm like, oh, I have to deal with this. And it wasn't like I was mad that it happened. I was just mad with the annoyance of it all, right? I had to go get checked out. I have nerve damage in my arm to this day. Like, I had to do all the due diligence, right?
Sure.
But the cop that was at the scene drove past me while I'm walking to the ER and goes in to tell them that they're getting a victim of an accident is coming in. He watched me, Tim, walk into the ambulance. The cop drove past me. He told them that. So then I walk in and they're waiting for, like, they just think that because, someone got hit by a car, they're going to have like a full. And I walk in and they're like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the one who got hit by the car. And they're looking at me and I'm looking at them and they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. It was the weirdest experience. And it was almost like I don't know what the cop told them. I don't know. But it was the funniest experience because I was sitting there like, as an American, I'm not paying for that ambulance bill. Tim will tell you. Like, if they had taken me from the sidewalk to the hospital, it probably would have cost me $3,000.
I know. It's utterly ridiculous.
Like, I was like, I'm still standing. I'll just walk myself over there. What's going to happen between here and there?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, a while back, I had a health thing where I had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
$975, and I have insurance.
I had I owe our hospital. Remember when I scratched my current cornea, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
$200. All they did was look at it with a light and give me some medicine and send me home.
Yeah.
$200. So anyway, this is not a podcast about America's healthcare system, but I am notoriously known to get injured in weird situations. But I have a great thing where I just, like, even when I broke my foot, remember, Tim, when I broke my foot? I literally got in the car and just kept moving. And then like 3 hours later, I finally broke down and went to the hospital. I'm so used to knowing. Like, I'm just so used to things happen to me that I kind of like let them roll off my shoulder. Probably not good. My daughter's probably listening to me going dollar signs in his eyes because this is America. All right. Well, with that being said, Tim, what's your song?
Okay. So I hit the shuffle button and I got someone who we know is not a good person. That would be Eric Clapton. He was not a good person. I
still like his music, though.
Yeah, I never want to meet Eric Clapton. And I probably told a story. It was in the 90s. I was offered tickets to see Eric Clapton at the Albert Hall. And it was on a Sunday night. And the ticket was £50. I remember how much it was. And then for £50, I could have gone to see Eric Clapton.
Okay.
And at the time, I was a little bit short of cash. And I decided not to see Eric Clapton. And for a number of years after the fact, I probably did regret that decision. At this point, I'm incredibly happy I didn't give him my money.
Well, I'm incredibly happy that I wasn't named Layla because I've talked about this in the podcast. The name that was almost originally picked out for me was Layla after the song
Yep.
Layla. So I'm happy that did happen because a baby died on the Waltons, which is, if you don't know what the Waltons is, it was a Southern soap opera basically. And they named her Joy. And my mom took that name and ran with it. But I was almost named after an Eric Clapton song, and I'm very happy I wasn't.
There we are. Well, I'm happy you're a Joy and not a Layla. But anyhow, the song that came up was the song I've Got a Rock and Roll Heart. Now, this is a song that I exclusively know of because it appears in the music of a Knight Rider episode. And you can see Michael Knight is in kit. He's driving through California, through the desert, and they're playing I've Got a Rock and Roll Heart. It's a beautiful scene, sadly, by Eric Clapton.
Mm. It's just so hard because, like, we've talked about this. I'm really good, generally, with like separating the artist from the music. But his is especially the things that like it's hard because it feels like it's part of his morals. Like we talk about like John Lennon punches people in the face, right? He just seems like he's a jerk who did a lot of drugs and can't control his temper, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the things that Eric did was more like about his morals.
Yeah, it's not like he's a murderer, a rapist, or there's nothing. It's not like a Gary Glitter where you just never want to talk of him because he's so hideous. It's just the way he's conducted his life and the things he's said. I'm just like a bit. Ugh.
It really is. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It almost makes it weirdly worse because it's like, okay, John Lennon liked to punch people in the face and was not necessarily a great guy. All right, whatever. We can move on for that.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you talk about like what he did, it just moral story is Joy's really happy she was never named
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm at peace to some degree with it because there is a lot of music that he was involved with, and and there's certainly in the guitar world, he had he's Fender Eric Clapton signature guitar is incredibly famous. There's a lot of stuff like that, but he's touring at the moment, and I really would not want anything to do with that.
I've also heard though he was also not very nice to people that worked with him too. And I think Tim's talked about that. That's one of his like things that bothers him too.
Yeah,
and that's one of my things that bothers me.
Do you know what's funny is I finished Steve Lukather's audiobook, and apparently Steve Lukather recorded with him, and he was a bit weird with him. And then sometime after the fact, Eddie Van Halen, and Valerie Bertinelli went to a concert in Los Angeles to see Eric Clapton. And they all got backstage and they all wanted to meet Eric. Steve wanted to meet Eric again, and Eddie never met him. So apparently only Eddie Van Halen was allowed in the dressing room. Valerie Bertinelli and Steve Lukather had to wait outside.
Ew. All right, I have a lot to say about that, but this is a podcast that I can't talk about that. We're going to have like an off the air, like after hours podcast to discuss how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's Eric Clapton. But anyway, nice song.
Good song, great song. No, the sad part is I really do like his music. He comes out all the time. I enjoy his music.
Cream, John Mayall's Blues Breakers, Yardbirds.
Cream is amazing.
Journeyman era Clapton.
I mean, Cream is literally a super band, super group, whatever you want to call them.
Behind the Mask is a great song. I mean, it goes on and on, but yeah. You know what it's like. But before we move on to the next song, you know what it's like. Yesterday, I went to the Hulk Hogan wrestling shop.
I thought you were going to say yesterday the Beatles song for some reason.
Yesterday, I went to the Hulk Hogan wrestling shop in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I've been there before.
Yeah.
It's basically just a tourist trap. There's merch. They show wrestling stuff. There's T-shirts. There's a wrestling ring there. Signed stuff. You name it. And there's a number of these. There's one in Clearwater, Florida as well.
Okay.
And growing up, I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid. I really loved it. And I loved Hulk Hogan. I was a Hulkamaniac, in fact. But, as the years have gone on, you find out the person that Hulk Hogan was. Because the real guy's name is Terry Bollea. That's his real name. Hulk Hogan is the character.
Of course.
And what the deal is with these wrestling shops is that the guy who runs the wrestling shops who licensed it from Hulk Hogan. And part of the deal is that Hulk Hogan will officially come and open the shop. And when he opens the shop, Hulk Hogan makes an appearance. He signs autographs, takes pictures, all that kind of stuff. And I was going to go along to meet Hulk Hogan. But I wanted to meet Hulk Hogan. I didn't want to meet Terry Bollea because Terry Bollea did a lot of terrible things.
What an interesting statement, because I do think that that's a great point. But there is, and I think that sometimes we're unrealistic in the situation that, like, even like we talk about pop artists and things like that. A lot of the stuff that we think of them, Tim, is stage persona, whether we want to admit it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because, like, and I understand why when you are dealing as someone in the public, and I don't want to get into detail of this, but Tim can tell you, I am now in the public as a person. It's sometimes you really have to separate yourself from that. I'm not saying I'm a famous musician and take that for what it is, but you really do have to sometimes build a persona that's different than you. It's almost like a shield in a way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And, people forget that. They forget. And I think that we think that what we see or who we are or who we like about this person or what we feel about them or what we, have interpreted is who they are, but it's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
So great example of that, Tim. That's a really good point, the way you said that. I didn't want to see this person. I want to see this.
Yeah, I wanted to meet the character, not the real person.
And, I think that's a good person. I think that's a good way of establishing something that people don't think about. And I don't have a specific scenario where this happened to me, but I'm sure I can think of the same thing. I mean, even today, I was talking to someone about, like, Kiss. They have a lot of personas, Tim, but that's not the people. You think Peter Criss really is a cat? He's not, Tim. I don't know if you knew that. That was a joke, everybody. But anyway, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So good point, Tim. Wonderful point. All right. Well, would you like me to give a song now?
Yep. Give it a shuffle.
All right. Let's do the shuffle. Do the shuffle. I hope I find something that's not more Motown, but it is me, so it could very well be. All right. We're going to hit more shuffle because that might be another Motown. Okay, I'm never going to get out of it, Tim. We're just going to have to. I don't know why Joy's favorite that has 349 tracks is all Motown music, but it is what it is. This old heart of mine, the Isley Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, again, another classic. I mean, this isn't the CVS playlist. This is the Joy playlist.
It really is. If you know anything about me, and I truly did grow up on Motown music. Both my parents will actively tell you. I remember going from a young age to like these little like these kind of like beach music bands that also do the Motown sound kind of thing, Tim.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on. It's what I love. But what I will say, the reason that it speaks to me differently than other music is because it is very R&B savvy to your heart, but also it is technically good music too. Like it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way of saying it. And maybe it's just that I love a good, this old heart of mine. That's how I sound when I sing it, by the way, when I'm in the car, if anybody was wondering. The Isley
technically
Brothers.
Perfect, really is.
It really is, though. Am I wrong, Tim? Do you understand what I'm saying, though? You kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the soul, but you also get the kind of structurally good music like sound.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know this, we talked about this on the podcast before. If you have, we could start a drinking game and take 3 shots every time I say this. It's fine. I don't care. But the interesting thing about Motown is they've openly admitted that they started an assembly line of music, didn't they, Tim?
Yeah, because it was in Detroit, the Motor City, and they were following the production line principle that how cars are made.
So literally the music had the same premise, and it's very interesting to see how that works because they would have the songwriting, and then they'd have the music, like somebody who's actually doing the music, like the musicians, and then they'd have the choreograph. So like think about like if you have a Supreme song where they're literally like, stop. That's the I sang the Spice Girls Stop. I was trying to sing the Supreme's version of Stop. 2 different songs, you get the concept.
Yes,
I don't
absolutely.
know why my brain went to that, Tim.
Because it goes
Stop
to the
in the
Spice
name
Girls.
of the love.
That's what you do.
I was trying to say, stop in the name. That's where I was going with that, if anybody was trying. But somehow I went, stop right now. 2 very different songs, but not that different. But they both had choreography, Tim. Amazing choreography. Actually, you know what? I just realized that might have been why they both had choreography. We'll debate that in the future. With that being said, I was getting at, though, is they had the literal, like, someone who wrote the song, someone who did the music, and then they had the choreography, and then they decided who was going to push it out. And what's crazy is a lot of Motown artists talked about is like there would be songs they would want and they didn't get it. They would give it to somebody else, so they would have someone else behind it. And so there was a lot of like, but you know, you had a Martha and the Evangelist song, and the thing about it is by doing that is exactly what Tim was just saying. They're structurally sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it worked, for good or for bad. And people will be mad at it and say, like, well, you know, you're taking the artist out of the music and da da da. It worked, Tim.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What is your thoughts on that as a musician? Do you think it takes away the creativity, or do you think it makes it more structured in a way that people don't want to hear that's realistic to what sells?
No, I think it's they were pioneers, because that is how modern music is made now. I mean, I make music on my computer. It's done to a click. You do everything to the grid. I mean, they came up with that principle, and you know, it's a principle that's used to this day. I mean, they didn't have the tools at their disposal that I have for my
but
very
the
modest
concept's there.
Yeah, modest studio setup. Yes, the concept is exactly the same.
And whether you want to admit it or not, and we've talked about this in the podcast, everybody loves the artistic side of music. But to be realistic, Tim, it's not all art. If you're going to make it in the music world, there is something about what sells and what's available and what people want to hear. Mm-hmm. Just because you know, some people out there would probably think, well, Yoko Ono was out there screaming about sounds amazing, right, Tim? And they love it because of the art side of it. But is that what's going to sell?
No, but I mean, you know, everything has its place.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear it.
No,
when it comes to her.
Though, you know, sometimes, you know, Voice Piece for Soprano by Yoko Ono really does, you know, hit the mark.
It does?
Maybe not. I don't know.
All right. Well, we're going to get canceled if I keep talking or someone. It's all a legend, everybody. But moral story is they really did build them all with that. And that is why I love their music. And controversially, I love that they did, though, somehow by doing this in a very mechanical, methodical way, they were able to keep like the heart and soul of it alive.
Yeah.
And that's what made the difference. All right. Continue, Tim. What's your song?
Okay, so this is an interesting one. This is Linda Ronstadt, and it's her cover of the Rolling Stones song Tumbling Dice.
I don't know if I've ever heard her cover. I've definitely heard that song, and I love Linda Ronstadt, but very interesting, Tim.
Yeah, I heard an interesting thing about Linda Ronstadt. The new keyboard player in the band I play in is a multilinguist. He speaks many languages. His primary second language is Spanish. And he was telling me that Linda Ronstadt released an album a number of years ago where she sang a whole load of songs in Spanish. However, she is not a Spanish speaker and was just singing it completely phonetically.
Interesting.
And then he said that her accent and delivery was absolutely first class.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what did he have to say? Because what's interesting is we've talked about this. So I have an older sister who speaks Spanish, and my brother-in-law is from Mexico. So we talked to her about like the ABBA like delivery, and she said it was pretty good. And so that's cool. It's always nice when someone who does that and makes the effort to do the little bit. Like, if you're going to do that, Tim, at least give the delivery the way it should be.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
also,
just don't do it.
Yeah, I played him some tracks from David Lee Roth from the album Sonrisa Salvaje, which I'm probably saying incorrectly. And he said, what did he call it? Gringo Spanish. He said grammatically.
That's white guy Spanish. Tim.
Yeah. He says it like phonetically makes sense. He says the words he's saying in Spanish actually work, because he said it's not like they've just translated it word for word. He said, you know, so when you make a sentence and you translate it, where the syllables fall will be different. And he said that whoever's translated it has made it fit within the song. So when he's singing the song, it actually works. But he said his Spanish accent is absolutely terrible and it just sounds comical.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, to be fair, I always find that interesting because, like, I don't know, as someone who's like, you know, English is American, American and English. And Tim's got better English than I do because he's from England. You know, we deal with people who have accents from other countries, like, you know, someone who's Italian, but they're, you know, trying to speak English to us. And I don't find it humorous because, like, I don't know. I don't think English has that same kind of thing where, like, if you're speaking Spanish with an English accent, it's bad. But, like, I don't know, Tim. I just don't think we see it that way. Maybe I'm
Well,
wrong.
so as somebody who doesn't speak with an American accent, I get a lot of attention.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I think though that your attention though is, well, Tim. People think you're Australian, Irish. Do you feel like you've gotten more or less now that, like, apparently, if you talk to Tim's British friends, they think his accent's gotten a little weaker.
Yeah, 100% people have said that. But I don't think I get the attention anymore because I'm a known quantity. I live in a relatively small town. I go in
Sure.
most of the same places, and I think most people have heard of me before. So it's not so much of a thing anymore.
I will say, truly, genuinely, Tim, I'm immune to your voice. Every once in a while, you'll say something, and it has like a very English connotation, like the word, the way you say it is very English. But like, I'm immune to it. I'm just like, nah, that's the way Tim says it. What was the other thing? Yogurt instead of yogurt. I said
Yogurt.
yogurt the other day out of sarcasm because that's the way Tim would say it.
Was I said the other week that you really like squirrel? You liked it when I said squirrel.
Squirrel. It is. That was a new one. That was a new one. Every once in a while, he'll come up with something. And then sometimes we have to have a conversation about like different words like zebra crossings and boots on cars and so on and so forth. Though I do feel like I have become an expert of translating English to American vocabulary now, generally. Though the one that did stand out was the billboard. What did you say they called billboards?
Oh, what did we call them? I can't remember now.
You had to
Um,
Google it because you were like, "There's a word for it." Google it, Tim. Give it a Google.
wasn't
And
it
but
like
then
that? Wasn't it like a bill something?
I don't know, it was something really weird.
You,
And
you
you were like, "Yeah, that's what it is." And then I posted it, and then a few people from England were like, "I don't think I've heard that either." It was very
um,
strange. Because billboard makes sense. You got a bill, you got a board. You know what I mean, Tim? Like, I could see that. But you gave it a weird term the other
a
day. Hold on.
hoarding, an advertising hoarding. That was it.
That's what it was. Yeah, even some people from England were like, Tim, what you talking about? It's a weird one. That is weird because I don't understand, like, logistically, how would it even be a hoarding? Like, a billboard makes sense. It's a board, Tim. And you're kind of billing as, like, advertise. I don't know.
Yeah, you said that's
Carolyn.
a large hoarding over there with an advert on it.
Yes. Okay, sure. Whatever. Doesn't make any sense to me, but at least it doesn't sound like candy canes this time. Um, with that being said, I have become, I think, good at like the dialects, maybe generally. Though every once in a while, Tim will come up with something. We were talking about having tinnitus in your ear, and Tim says tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
Yeah, that was another one. I was literally talking to my dad because my dad's a POW from Vietnam, so obviously, things going off in his ear, so on and
Hmm.
so forth. We were discussing this weekend, and I had to laugh because we were talking about it. I was like, and I still joke about, Brittany was like, she was like, oh, when you said it, it took her a while to figure out what you were talking about on the podcast because you said it such a different way. But I've learned your enunciations. I'm sure Hannah's probably even more of an expert than I
Oh,
will ever be.
she's completely immune to it.
She's immune
To
to
the
it.
point where she can't even remember what's English and American English.
She's probably just so numb. She's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yogurt is the one that stands out to me the most, though, I think. I don't know why, though. I don't even like yogurt that much. It's fine. Do you eat yogurt very often?
Very rarely. I try and minimize dairy because lots of dairy doesn't really agree with me. So that's why I always have like almond milk and hazelnut milk and stuff like that. It's a very rare occasion that I'll have a yogurt.
So, oatmeal and yogurt are two things that I want to like, Tim. I really do, but I just don't like them that much. I don't know. I'll eat them if they're there. Does that make sense? But I don't seek them out as a human.
No, I would probably be better off health wise with a vegan diet, but it's too complicated and I can't do that.
Oh, it's hard to weave that out of your diet. Now, I will say, I've been listening to I just got through the most recent audiobook, which is Sherlock Holmes' sister. I was watching from Sherlock Holmes' perspective, but it's
Hmm.
his sister. And I learned a lot of different terms that were Old English listening to that book. Very much did. And there's different things that they would say, and I was like, oh, that's where that comes from. Because like it's hard because like obviously you would probably have a little bit more, but even that, like Tim doesn't know all old English, I don't think.
No, I
I
had to
don't
look
think
up. I had to look up hoarding.
mm, look at you. This is a music podcast though. Should we talk about a song probably
Yeah, why,
soon?
why don't you shuffle?
I don't know how we got on this one. All right, let me hit a shuffle. All right. So we're gonna go with Rocksteady, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, a great song. Not one of the big Aretha Franklin songs, but certainly one that's probably, if I brought her up on the Spotify, it'd be in the top 20, I imagine.
Well, for this podcast specific, it is one of the songs I love from her. It is on my favorite. It was in the millions. I clicked off of it now because it was just a shuffle. Now it's one of those songs that I think Aretha Franklin is one of those people that like everybody has like different perspectives of what they like from her, but for whatever reason, it's not viewed as her like Aretha Franklin singing all of soul, right, Tim?
No.
I really like this song. I just do. I really do. I listen to it probably more than you would even care to imagine.
Hmm.
I really do. Because I think that like there's something about the vibe, it's 70s Aretha Franklin. It's not her like putting all the riffs into it, but like something like that where she's like rock steady baby. It's a very steady song.
Yeah,
I
well,
seek it out a lot.
as you know, you don't have to justify it. If you like it, you like it.
That's also Aretha Franklin. Why should anyone have to justify liking Aretha Franklin?
Exactly. Plus, she's the only person ever to qualify for a Grammy.
Now, if we're getting into my love for Aretha Franklin, Chain of Fools, I Say a Little Prayer for You, Freeway of Love. Like I could be here all week. I literally listen. And if you know, I'm a Blues Brothers lover. And who's in the Blues Brothers? Aretha Franklin.
And also, don't forget, sisters are doing it for themselves with Annie Lennox or the Rhythmics. And then you've got the duet, of course, with George Michael. I knew you were waiting for me. They're so good.
Which I always think about the episode where we talked about that because we talked about that specific video where they're in the like the video is very iconic too with the back and forth between the two of them. So good. But Rocksteady's a great one. If you like Aretha and you've never really went down the rabbit hole, like some of her, I guess maybe not her most popular music, right? It's not Respect, but Rocksteady is great. Actually, there's literally nothing she could do wrong. I don't know why I feel like getting justified, but it's a great one. But I will say, Tim, my favorite Aretha Franklin song is "You Better Think About What You're Trying to Do to Me." That's not how she would sing it. She sounds 1,000 times better. Don't cover me the internet. I'm not saying Aretha Franklin, but that song and that movement in Blue Brothers, it lives rent free in my head forever. And if you've never seen that scene, I don't care if you go watch the Blues Brothers. If you even want to watch the movie, watch the scene with her singing that in the diner.
Yeah, it is really,
It'll change
really good.
you. It'll change you for the rest of your life. That's the question, though, Tim. What's your favorite Aretha Franklin song?
I think it would have to be the two I just mentioned. I mean, it's always the classics. There's so many good songs, but those two duets are absolutely outstanding.
I'm saying by I think it's the best one, but I will agree to disagree. But I love everything you just said. But yeah, that song it lives rent free in my head, and maybe it might be what I sing in life when I think about the way people treat people. With that being said, Tim, we probably have time for what, one, two more?
Yeah, I reckon one from me and one from you, and then we are probably done.
We got a little bit on a English versus American language, something about billboards. I don't know. What's next, Tim?
There we are. Okay, so this is an unusual one. This is Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. And this is a song, Mamas, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Now, you may wonder why I'm listening to classic country on my shuffle list, but unsurprisingly, it does feature in a Knight Rider episode. So there we are.
It's not that weird to me. Though what's weird is a lot of people listen to this. I know the Waylon Jennings and the Willie Nelson version. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. I very actively said I listen to 90s country because my mother and father listen to 90s country. Now, a lot of people don't. A lot of people will think about when they hear this, though, to think about the remake, which is not Keith Urban. What is his name? The one who sang about the song "Me My." Oh God.
Country music is banned in my house. I have no idea.
He sang, oh God, it's going to come to me too. I'm going to scream it in a minute. It's going to be literally Stevie Nicks all over again. Um, he wanted to say Keith Urban, but that's not his name.
Toby Keith.
That's exactly what it is.
See, I didn't even know
Yep.
he covered it.
He did. He did a Mama Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up. And what's weird is Toby Keith did that other song about beer from whiskey for my horses, beer for my men. I don't know, which is also with Willie Nelson. So Toby Keith has some weird thing. So a lot of people will hear this and they think of the Toby Keith version because that was very popular in the 90s. But I mean, if you don't know, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. I've heard it a million times. I mean, it is an iconic song. I would listen to this. I like this song. I will say I'm not a Waylon Jennings fan personally because he's not personally someone that I like, kind of like we're talking about Eric Clapton. But Willie Nelson is an amazing person, and what he did for Farm Aid and who he is as a person, beautiful.
Yeah.
We will always support Willie. All right, let's give it one more little old shuffle, one more song. We're trying to find something that's not what we've been talking about all night. Oh, that's a good one. You've got another thing coming, Judas Priest.
Yeah, it always surprises me that you have Judas Priest on your playlist. I mean, we've spoken about the Green Manalishi and stuff like that, but that isn't an obvious choice either.
It isn't, but the thing about it is I am the person, I've said this for years, I struggle with listening to the same kind of genre over and over. I need variety in my life, Tim. That's why we talked about that D-bag rock that I can't stand. It's not that I think they're doing anything wrong. It's that I can't listen to the same thing and every song sounds the same.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so I have to go from like Judas Priest to Motown and everything underneath. I love a good Poison. Poison's a great one for me. And I've talked about very actively. I'm a huge AC/DC fan, but I can't listen to it in only that's the I have to listen to like two of those songs and then it has to swap.
Yeah.
And one thing about Motown is it's not all the same artists. Like they sound very different. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it does road. And so, and I love a good 80s playlist that's on a CVS. As long as it's not really Journey anymore, I can't listen to Journey.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
There's plenty of good Journey songs, but you don't want to listen to the dirty dozen of Journey songs that just get overplayed continually.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I have surprised him before. He's made comments. He's like, I'm surprised it's on your playlist. I didn't even talk to him some music. He was very surprised when I talked about when I talked about Bikini Kill and Rebel Girl and all that stuff. I have some deep tracks, but yeah, You've Got Another Thing Coming is probably the one song that you would probably hear the most of me play from Judas Priest. Obviously, Breaking the Law, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
I like Turbo Lover too. I do like Turbo Lover.
There we are, Joy. So much diversity in your rock music.
Well, and I love War Pigs, but I like the version that is the Judas Priest version featuring Ozzy.
Fantastic.
There you go. We'll leave people with that. People will learn something new. Tim, what's your favorite Judas Priest song before we go?
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
There you go. All right. With that being said, how would you like to leave the people?
Just be kind to everyone that you meet.
Also, don't take anything that we say on this podcast seriously. We don't know everything. I'm kidding. All right. With that being said, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.